I'd like to welcome you to the introduction of biblical archaeology. This is going to be a four-part series. We're going to start with just the basic introduction, and then we're going to move into the periods which archaeologists call the Middle Bronze Age, then the Late Bronze Age, and then the Iron Age. So it's a four-part introduction: Middle Bronze, Late Bronze, and Iron Age. So we're going to begin this series, with the introduction. We're going to start off with the geography. The geography of Israel is very important to understand exactly where you are when the events are being spoken about. And also when we get into archaeology, there's usually several layers of events that might actually happen in just one location. So knowing the territory, knowing the terrain a little bit, the north, the south, the east and west, and what you might find there is somewhat important. So we're going to talk about the geography first. In the word archaeology, we say archaeos, which means old, and when you say archaeology, it means knowledge. So when we say archaeology, it's the knowledge of things that are old. Now, looking at the landmass of Israel, when we go to the north, we have what is called the Mount Hermon range. And the Mount Hermon range is around 1,200 feet above sea level. It doesn't seem like it would be that high until we digress down to the Sea of Galilee, which is 700 feet below sea level. So looking from 700 feet below sea level up to the Mount Hermon range, then it looks quite high, looks quite tall. The Sea of Galilee being about 12 miles long, we exit it on the south side, moving by the way of the Jordan River, 60 miles as the crow flies. And as we move that 60 miles, we then enter into what is called the Dead Sea, and the Dead Sea is 1,300 feet below sea level. So think of this, in a short distance, as the crow flies, of 100 miles plus, we move from 1,300 feet, 1,200 feet above sea level in the Mount Hermon range, down to the Dead Sea, which is 1,300 feet below sea level, and the lowest place on the entire planet. The Jordan River, when we say Jordan River, we like to sing about the Jordan River, we talk about the Jordan River, the events that happen around the Jordan River. The word Jordan actually means to descend, and it makes a lot of sense because the water starts from a high altitude and it ends up at a very low altitude. So the word Jordan, every time you say that, actually means to descend. What causes the Jordan River to flow in the area and the course in which it does is that the Jordan flows in a depressed location called the Rift Valley, where two land masses actually collide together, forcing the terrain features down. And in that depression is the location in which the Jordan River flows. On the west side of the landmass of, you could say, of Israel, of Palestine, we have what is called the Levant, the coastal plain. It's on the coastal plain where we have, first of all, the trade route. And also later on, during what we call the Iron Age period, a group of people seem to settle in that location. Besides the Canaanites, a group of people called the Philistines. And they have 5 major cities that they settle somewhat along the coastal plain of Israel. What are the Philistines doing? Well, what anybody wants to do with the land of Israel, it's a land bridge separating Mesopotamia from the land of Egypt. So if you want to trade south going north, the Egyptians with the Mesopotamians, you're going to have to go through Israel because it's a land bridge. It's an important piece of real estate in the ancient world because whoever controls that territory becomes extremely wealthy. So the Egyptians want that territory because it's a land bridge. And so does the Mesopotamians, those people like the Assyrians and the Babylonians, and later the people from Anatolia today, modern Turkey, the Hittites. Everybody wants that landmass. Not only, you might say, the adversaries of Israel, but God places Israel in that location for a very important reason. And that's because it's influencing those people that actually walk by. Think about this. If you are a person who lived and you're part of the colony, the tribes of Israel, if you will, and in your covenant, you're supposed to not cut the corners of your field. And as a foreigner goes by, they were permitted to actually take something from the corners of your field and to drink from your brooks, providing them subsistence as they walk through that land. Now that's very strange because in a foreign country, you would not be able to do that as a foreigner or an alien walking through that territory. But of course, in the covenants of Israel, they were allowed to do that. Now, what does that mean? Well, it provides an opportunity. As somebody actually walks through the land and they're a stranger, I'd have to, if it was me, ask the question, why do you let us eat from your fields and drink from your brooks? Because nobody else does. And that was the opportunity for Israel to turn around and say, well, let me tell you about my God, whose covenants these are. So it becomes an opportunity to witness. That's what's important about the land of Israel, not just the real estate, not just because it's a land mass, a land bridge that connects the trade route, but it's an influential part of the ancient world.